sign until.
All right, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the
Oh, really?
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
It usually takes longer to lose control. That was
Did everybody have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll make this short and sweet tonight. I know the weather's coming south and everybody has other things to do. So right now, 2.8 Fox is in the hangar. We had the 2 hours for the break-in. We replaced the cylinder on the 100-hour inspection, so it'll be back on the line. 60 Romeo, Will fixed the door handle. I guess somebody broke it again. So it's fixed. It's now in the hangar. 50 Echo and 84 November. There's nothing really to brief. 273, we finished a 50-hour, and Will serviced the shimmy dampener. Some people made a gripe about that. 011, still going to be down for the rest of the month. We just sent out the oil temperature, I believe, the oil temperature gauge, and it'll be back in about 10-15 days. And 6-3 Tango, it's not on the schedule yet, because as soon as we get the break-in hours done, that's when I'm going to put it back up for rent. So I know people have been asking, they've called, how come it's not on the schedule yet? That's how come it's not on the schedule yet. So normal discussion items. Everybody have any problems with their currency or stuff signed off that they can get done today? You can do that. Miss Helen, can you please stand up? We got our newest pilot. She just passed the check back. And, on top of that, she brought cookies for everybody as well. So make sure you stop and get some. Everybody realize it's cold weather ops, right? It's getting cold again. Batteries are dying. People are starting airplanes, the batteries are dying. They're not flying the airplanes because the batteries are dying. You understand it's getting cold, batteries are dying. So 273, usually it's 273 and 011 have the Tanis heaters. So that's why they're usually parked closest to the building so we can run the electricity. So if you do happen to fly one of those, preferably 273 right now, make sure you plug it in when you're done and make sure it's unplugged prior to your departure. So other than that, the cold weather ops, that's all I can say. We just put a $500 battery in 50 Echo, so they're not cheap. $500? Yeah, they're not cheap. So make sure you put that into your pre-flight planning. And did everybody get the safety gram?
Yeah.
Everybody read it?
Yeah.
Does anybody know what it's about?
Yeah.
Remember what it's about?
Checklist.
Checklist.
Use the checklist. Use your checklist.
Yeah, so I think I like this version of the safety gram better because I think we all learn better from something that's actually happened that could have caught us. I know that myself personally, I put the airplane away, I tied it away, and I come walking back up, and my instructor looked at me. He was like, "Wow, Jody, you put the airplane away?" I was like, "Yeah." And he looked at me really weird, so guess what I did? I left the tow bar attached.
That's your name now, tow bar.
Tow bar.
I
So,
thought that's what the message, the safety ram was about, tow bars.
Tow bars.
yeah, suckers. Yeah, tow bars and peanut stuff. Anyways, has anybody else got something that they'd like to share that's something that caught them? Maybe checklist item, because I know everybody uses the checklist every time. Right, Mr. Gray?
Absolutely.
All right, well, anything else on that?
When aviation first began with the Wright brothers, checklists did not exist. But as more complex airplanes were created, the probability of making a mistake and having a fatal error increased drastically. One of the first airplanes to ever have a checklist was the Boeing B-17. On the first B-17 flight, the airplane crashed after takeoff because the pilot forgot to remove the elevator lock, not allowing him to pitch the nose up. After this tragedy, checklists were born to help prevent accidents like this one from occurring. Even after thousands of hours of flying, pilots still use checklists to ensure that critical tasks will not be forgotten. Checklist usage is a critical aspect of flying, so it is important to work on this skill from day one. Pilots who tend to overlook checklist usage are prone to become more complacent and make more mistakes, which could create an unsafe situation. For the first half of your private pilot training here at Embry-Riddle, you will complete the checklist using the read-do method. What this means is that for each checklist, each item will be read out loud and then physically done. However, after completing your first solo, from there on out, you will be expected to complete the checklist in a do-verify manner. Much like the airlines, this method requires the pilots to do a flow, essentially completing the checklist from memory, and then pulling out their checklist to verify that nothing has been omitted. The checklists for the aircraft at Embry-Riddle are broken up into different sections. The first section is called the normal checklist. This section includes the procedures that are completed on the day-to-day flights, including pre-flight, engine start, before taxi, before takeoff, and more. After the normal checklist section is the emergency checklist section. As the name states, this section is used during emergency operations such as an engine failure or a fire burning in the airplane. Following the emergency checklist is the abnormal checklist, which includes procedures for situations that do not usually arise in the airplane. Some of these include what to do with a rough-running engine, electrical issues, or other equipment failures that would not constitute an emergency. The last part of the checklist is the supplement section, which contains some helpful information like V-speeds of the airplane, cruise performance charts, how to prime the engine, and more. From small airplanes like the Cessna to the state-of-the-art Boeing 787, checklist usage is absolutely essential to ensure a safe flight. For more information on the checklist and the Embry-Riddle checklist policies, please take a look at the current version of the SOPM.
Okay, so there you have it. Two things for me to cover. The checklist usage, obviously, and Will has a nice drawing on the backboard over there. And he wants us to write out and not use acronyms and the discrepancies for any of the aircraft that you fly. I guess it's confusing, you know, Navy lingo or whatever. And preheat, again, if it's below 40, we want to use preheat. Helps, obviously, for obvious reasons, you know, we want to get the oil heated up before we try to start. And that's that. And lastly, NORDO procedures. Does anybody know our NORDO procedures here? NORDO meaning no radio, right?
Oh.
Okay, so if you're a VFR aircraft and you taxi to the runway and you try to call tower and you can't get tower, and then you try to call ground and you can't get ground, what are you gonna do? Anybody? Turn around and taxi back, okay. So now you've been put on the runway position and hold, and you can't call tower anymore. You try ground, you can't get ground either, what are you gonna do? You're already on the runway.
Clear that runway.
Exit. Okay, so what we're supposed to do is turn to the tower and flash our landing lights and then continue to exit the runway and taxi to park. So what if you're airborne now? What are you gonna do? VFR, airborne.
You circle the airport, wag your wings, put on your lights, look for the green light with the tower.
Okay, so what's the SOP say we're gonna do?
Squawk 76.
76, it'd fix.
76, Squawk 76.
There's a good start, right? Anybody know about Walmart? Camden Walmart? So we're supposed to enter the Delta from Walmart, proceed to the golf course on base here, on the other side of base, and hold. That's the instruction for NORDO. And you're gonna sit there and wait until you see something from the tower. What about the phone number for the tower? Anybody know the phone number for the tower? It's on the back, right? It's something that might be good to have in your phone. You know, NORDO, call the tower. It's a good option, right? What about receiver only? You can't transmit for some reason. Anybody know what happens there? Okay, so you can hear the tower, but they can't hear you. They're going to tell you something, give you an instruction, maybe rock your wings or whatever. It's an acknowledgement.
You're gonna ident.
They're going to tell you to ident, acknowledge via ident. So ident, everybody knows how to ident, hopefully. So that's that. What if you're IFR? Anybody know what happens if you're IFR?
Continue via your clearance.
Continue via your clearance, okay. And what happens when you come in to do an approach and you haven't been cleared for the approach? What are you supposed to do?
Hold until your
76.
expected time of arrival, and then you should be approached.
Right, so we're gonna sit there and hold and come in and shoot the approach, very good. And when you break out, you probably have a landing light or a signal from the tower to land. That's that. Questions?
What's the number of tower? Actually, I don't have it.
It's on the backboard.
Oh, backboard, okay.
The reason I bring this up is because the tower and the RAPCON both have been having radio issues lately. Something with fiber optic cables that we switched to about 3 months ago, poor quality, lowest bidder kind of thing. And now we're going back to copper wires, and sometimes it's intermittent with both our primaries and our backup radios. So if you looked at the NOTAMs anytime in the last couple of days, it might say frequencies are unreliable or guard is unmonitored by us, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a continuing or ongoing issue right now. But that's why I bring that up. So hopefully now y'all are educated. Questions for me?
Do
Tower
they
stuff?
always answer their landlines if you call in on it?
Yep. Yep. We're there 24/7.
They'll pick up.
Yep. 5263 is the extension. 677-5263. What you got?
And don't forget, Nordo applies to airplanes that just don't have radios, which is why we have eyes to look out the window and make sure no one's coming at us.
Very good. Valid point. Anything else? All right, be safe. Happy holidays, Christmas, New Year's.
So, with that being noted, the next meeting is gonna be January 14th of 2020. How about it? It's pretty exciting. Has anybody else got anything? Okay, well, have a safe holiday, and we'll see you guys back here in January. All right, awesome.